In the following video, Amy was minding her own business sorting out some paperwork when a major disturbance stood in her way. This disturbance was so unexpected that she referred to it as a trauma event, but I will let you form your own opinion on such a bold statement. Take a look.
Okay guys, I'm in here again. Just put some clothes in the dryer. I have all the lights on because I get freaked out when I'm down here alone, but I heard something coming from, I think it was the bathroom. It sounded like something slid or maybe like a knocking sound or something like that. It sounded creepy. Oh my god. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. There's nobody in here, guys. It's just me. Literally just me. Okay, upstairs I go. Bye-bye.
Strangely, Amy heard a banging sound coming from the bathroom and decided that she must act upon it. She went to investigate the bathroom, and for a good 10 seconds, nothing happened. However, this grace period, if you will, did not last. Moments after entering the room, a drawer slid open without any contact, and this frightened Amy to the extreme, as she had never experienced anything paranormal. It is safe to say that this incident left an imprint on her, and she would never forget what happened. For Amy, this wasn't just a strange noise, it was something far beyond the normal. For the first time in her life, she found herself questioning reality. She had heard of ghost stories, but never believed them to be true until now. And though she'd never wished for such an event to occur, the moment she saw that drawer move on its own, her perspective on the supernatural would change forever. Roland with me is a common name brought up on this channel, and this is simply because of the sheer amount of paranormal experiences he has documented over the years. He is one of those YouTubers who visit haunted locations for videos, but in more recent times, the haunted locations visited him. Let me explain. Due to him being around spirits for so much of his time, some of them have attached to him and gone as far as coming to his home. This has led to his house being riddled with paranormal activity, and he continues to supply evidence to prove that. Here's an example.
That knife just came out of there. All right, that sink, the faucet was spinning 360, but I'm more worried about that knife right there. Right there. This was all the way in, and it came back out. And I had just put this outside for a couple days out in the backwoods. Is there a spirit here that just moved that knife? Can you please move it back? I hear something. Move the knife back. Shit. Okay.
After the proposal from Roland, the spirit complied and decided to put the knife that it moved back into its storage. Roland was quite pleased that the spirit listened to him because it meant that he still had some authority over his own house. But things would not end for him, and you will continue seeing him on this channel, so subscribe. On October the 15th of 2019, Marcus was alone in his store when he made a shocking discovery. Marcus purchased the building roughly 4 years ago, and a good point to make is that nothing strange ever happened there. The store operated perfectly, with the employee welfare standards being described as through the roof. But all good things must come to an end, and this was certainly the case for what was meant to be a peaceful store. The footage you are about to see was caught at 2 p.m, so it was not a timing that you would expect to see videos of this manner coming from. Regardless of what time it was though, it was just as spooky as the usual ghost sightings, and here's why.
Cuenta que... ¡Ay, pues! Hijo de la chingada. ¿Ya vieron? Ay, a ver si quedó grabado eso. Hijo de eso. ¿Vieron cómo se aventó la puerta? Esas son las cosas que pasan aquí a veces. Ahí está la Moana. Ahí está la Moana y es lo que les digo, se avientan las cosas. Ah, pero no está tirada ni nada. Hijo de su madre, trae la piel chinita, No, pues no. Está cabrón. Esperaba que me hubieran hecho una broma. No, anda, pues vámonos mejor.
For some reason, the spirit was repetitively opening the door and swinging it closed at maximum power. This obviously made a lot of noise and summoned Marcus from another room to come and check that everything was okay. It definitely was not. Without cutting the camera, he approached the door that was being controlled in order to catch a glance of what was behind it. To his dismay, there was nothing at all. The door was moving on its own with no explanation. It wasn't a draft. It wasn't anyone on the other side, just an empty, eerie room. Marcus had no idea what was going on, but one thing was certain. He was witnessing something truly unexplainable. He made the decision to investigate further, but the store's atmosphere was now thick with an unsettling feeling. He could sense something was watching him, waiting for him to make a move. The upcoming clip was captured by THRLL, a middle-aged office worker who despised his job. He had grown up always dreaming of becoming a successful business owner, but despite working hard for this, a change in the market left his idea to rot. This forced poor THRLL into regular employment, where he was paid a below-average wage to take calls all day. As I previously stated, this was not fun for him. One fateful day though, at 11 AM, THRLL had the surprise of his life, and no matter how hard he tried to decipher what had caused it, he could not. Feel free to help him in the comments after watching this.
Some crazy paranormal shit going on. It's just me. There's no one else around. There's no freaking strings.
Absurdly, the computer powered itself up, but this could have easily been pinned as being an issue with the general computer. However, as if the spirit knew that this was not enough to prove its presence to THRLL, it started to tamper with the cabinets, which was 100% the tipping point that made THRLL fear for his life. It is safe to say, he knew that it was there and was not a fan of that idea. The cabinets were flinging open and shut, their contents rattling violently, as if some unseen hand was recklessly rifling through them. THRLL's heart raced as the eerie sounds filled the room, each new slam of the cabinet doors reverberating through his mind. He realized that his worst fear was coming true. There was something in his office, and it wasn't friendly. In the last video on this channel, we looked into the life of Jake and Faye, a father and daughter who had a very strong bond, but were facing the hardships of a haunting. In case you missed that content, Jake deployed cameras all around the house, including in Faye's room, so that he could pin down what was causing a strange feeling he had. He had this sense that something was wrong, but didn't quite know what. That was until the cameras caught some movement in Faye's room. This follow-up clip took place 2 days after that one, and this time the spirit made sure that they could meet it firsthand.
Do you hear the footsteps? I know y'all hear that, right? Do you hear it? You hear the footsteps?
What are the steps? There's steps over there.
It sounds like it's coming from over there.
It's over there. Because of the table. Uh-oh.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Oh, move.
I know you saw that, right?
Is this seem to come with? Seem to come with?
Gee, I know y'all saw that.
Seem to come with? How's it come with work?
Can you move it again?
Move again.
It's all out of focus now. Well, the footsteps are still going. Right when I walked by, it knocked a cup off too. Can you make it move again?
Move again. How's it come with? Steps. What does he the steps?
Oh, I'll keep y'all posted.
The steps is gone.
As odd as this may have been, they both heard footsteps roaming the room, and eventually the cup fell from the tabletop. This literally made zero sense and left them both terrified, especially Faye, who was way too young for something like this. For Faye, the world was no longer as safe as it once seemed, and every corner of the house now felt like a potential threat. She would stare wide-eyed at empty hallways, waiting for something she couldn't explain to show itself. Her father's attempts to reassure her only did so much, as both of them were now deeply affected by the supernatural presence. A common occurrence that we seem to always come across on this channel is ghost hunters paying the price for partaking in such a dangerous job. These hunters spend hours of their day interacting with the paranormal entities of the world, and this would be enough to drive most people insane, sometimes even going too far for the hunters themselves to handle. The video you are about to see is an example of a ghost hunter who met a spirit that went a little bit too crazy for him to cope. However, due to the extremely high pay rates that this job offered, the poor man continued onwards, and this was what happened.
السلام عليكم مرګرو دا په کچن کې ناسو مکنه او بارې الله غسته دی خطا سو ګوره یا الله خیر یا الله خیر استغفر الله الله اکبر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر وګوره مرګرو یا الله خیر یا الله خیر تاسو ته مو وینم ګورې کوټه پیریان دی خدا واړه دي دا وسه دی وګوره خو پورته تیر آبار کړی ها یا الله خیر یا الله خیر یا الله خیر استغفر الله الله اکبر وګوره ها یا الله خیر یا الله خیر قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس يا الله خير سوكي ركا سوكي يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير غوريها يا الله خير سوكي ركا يا الله خير يا الله خير استغفر الله الله أكبر يا الله خير سوكي ركا يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير.
Strangely, all sorts of objects took up lives of their own and started dancing around the room as if they had attended a disco. It was a rare occurrence for spirits to be powerful enough to move so many objects at once, so the ghost hunter instantly knew that he had a bad entity on his hands. Not that this stopped him on his mission, he needed to pay the bills somehow. For the next 10 or so minutes, the ghost hunter, who was named Ali for your information, did not come across anything out of the ordinary, and was moments away from calling this task a day. Just as he turned around, though, and started finding his way out of the building, he heard some banging from behind and had to investigate further.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله الله أكبر.
Everything about this closet was moving by itself, including the objects on top, which again showcased just how strong the spirit in question happened to be. Unlike the last clip, where Ali ignored the fear though, he could not help himself and ran back onto the corridor where he felt the tiniest bit more secure, but not as much as he would have wished. This led him to call it quits and run out of the building entirely. However, the ghost wanted to spook him one more time before he went on his travels.
السلام علیکم مرګرو دا هغه کور دی تاسو ته چې ما وی په دې کې پیریان دي پوه شولې تاسو بنن په خپل سترګو بیا وینئ یو ځل ښه دې کې هر ټیم پیریان دي پوه شولې دا وګورئ ښه لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر بسم الله يا الله خير يا الله خير مرغورتا سوين يا الله خير يا الله خير يا الله خير الله أكبر يا الله خير الله أكبر بسم الله الله أكبر يا الله خير يا الله يا الله خير.
Just as Ali exited the building, some more paranormal stuff started to happen, and it was starting to get a little bit out of hand. When he arrived home, he documented all of these sightings into a folder for the client who paid him to search the property and received his cash, although he openly stated it was not worth it whatsoever. Jackson was downstairs all by himself, and bear in mind that this is a very important detail for the next clip. Jackson and his family were an innocent bunch and never really found themselves getting involved in anything troublesome. The house was just about as spiritually clean as you could get, with several holy books and crosses dotted around, as Jackson and his fiancée were both huge believers in God. I bet if they knew what was about to come for them, they would have prayed for his help. The following video was bad, very bad.
Alright. So that right there is my basement door, right? I'm downstairs by myself. It's like 4:53 in the morning, and I just started hearing that. I have no fucking idea what it is, but I'm down here by myself. Everybody's sleeping, just me. Ain't the first time I heard this shit either.
Jackson was home alone when a knocking sound started playing at the basement door, and he did not like this at all. Even while he was documenting it, the banging would not stop, and it seemed that whatever was in there was desperate to be released once and for all. Fortunately, this sound did eventually stop, and Jackson was given the privilege to be happy again, as his entire family had just arrived home. Little did he know that they were his good omen in this situation, because the next time they decided to leave the house, things did not end well for him.
Alright, so I was hearing that knocking again, right? Except this time it's coming from that wall right there, which is my downstairs bathroom. And after a while I started hearing tapping on the bathroom door as well. So, what else? Record. See if anything else happens. I mean, I hear the shit every night. It's... what the fuck? Okay, that's never happened before. Now I have to go check it out, otherwise you guys are going to be like, oh, it's probably somebody in there. Let's go see. I'll show you guys right now. Ain't nobody in this right here. And it is empty. Yeah, no, that one was weird. That's never actually happened before. That's new, at least.
This time around, the noises came from the bathroom, which made no sense considering nobody had opened the basement to let its contents be free. Whatever this was had free reign, and Jackson needed to do something to stop it. His story will definitely continue in the next video on this channel, so stay tuned. Clayton was at home, minding his own business, when strange noises suddenly prompted him to investigate. It was around 2 p.m, and Clayton described that when the incident occurred, a chill shot through him, much like an electric shock. This eerie sensation is commonly reported during spiritual encounters, so take a look at what happened next.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm hearing noise in there in the kitchen. Sound like I heard cabinet or something. I don't know what it is. Opening up or something. If there's a spirit here, let me know. Oh, shit!
Some items on the kitchen counter suddenly began to move on their own, even though there was no visible presence to explain the movement. The eerie fact that Clayton also felt an intense cold confirmed that a spirit was present in the house that day. The items shifted slightly, but the chill that engulfed him was enough to leave Clayton wondering if something was truly present. While Clayton hasn't experienced anything else since, he believes this was a one-time event. However, if something happens again, he promises to let us know, and I'll be sure to update you with the information on the channel. Clayton took a moment to reflect on the strange happenings, choosing not to be shaken by what happened, but it was clear that this was not something he could easily dismiss. The unsettling feeling lingered in his mind for a while, leaving him cautious in his own home. Next, we're taken to a little girl's bedroom, where her parents had recently installed security cameras. The family had become suspicious that something wasn't right with their house, so they decided to deploy CCTV around the property to figure out what was going on. For weeks, the cameras caught nothing out of the ordinary, and the family began to consider moving, as they couldn't solve the problem. It was becoming too much for them to handle. However, one day, while they were out looking at new houses, the father received a notification from their daughter's room. In fear, he checked the footage, and this is what he found. The footage showed inexplicable events happening in the room, which confirmed his suspicions. The house was haunted. There was no doubt in his mind anymore. Armed with this new understanding, he and his wife debated their next steps. After discussing their options, they made the bold decision to stay put, not wanting to flee out of fear. The family believed that they could regain control of the situation, and instead of running away, they decided to face it head-on. They contacted a local church for assistance in banishing the spirit, hoping they could finally end the haunting without leaving their home. The family made it clear they weren't going to let the spirit drive them away, and they took the necessary spiritual measures to ensure their safety.